Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hello, I'm your host, Aaron Mikey, and welcome to today's episode of Muskegon Rising. I'm here with Gail Brechting, the conductor of the West Michigan Concert Winds. So excited to have Gail here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
You've built an incredible orchestra surrounding the Muskegon Lumber Queen, which is being rebirthed to retell that tale. Tell us a little bit how you got involved with this project.
Well, I was driving home right after Thanksgiving from a guest conducting gig from Fort Wayne area, and I got a phone call, and I kept hitting no because I didn't know who it was. And come to find out, it was Mike Vogus calling me. Finally, I answered it because it kept calling, and he said who it was, and really, I had not talked with Mike for decades, really, probably. And so he told me all about this, and he, at that point, just wanted my advice about what should we do if we put this together with like a pit orchestra. And my first thought was, well, I believe in live music. So I said, I think we should really consider, because he was talking about a recording. And I've never been a music educator that believes in teaching to a recording. I think that's not music education. Anybody can do that. So I said, well, I think it should be a pit orchestra, and we talked about that. And because of the background I have resources to get many people involved if I have to. I know a lot of people. My network is big. And so I said, well, I'm interested in it. And as I'm hanging up, I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, what am I getting myself into here? Because I knew that it was going to be a lot of, if in fact it was what I thought it might end up being, I didn't know if I even had the time to pull it off. But I've known Mike for so long, I couldn't say no to him in many ways. So anyway, that's how it happened that I got contacted about it.
That's amazing. Mike is a tough person to say no to.
That's very
Hence
true.
why I'm sitting here.
Yes.
As we often
Both
joke,
of us.
we're in the same boat together.
Right, that's great.
So the West Michigan Concert Winds has a long legacy. Talk to us a little bit about how long that's been, what it's involved.
Sure. We celebrated our 45th anniversary 2 years ago. So we just finished our 46th anniversary, and now we're going into our 47th season. It was started by Denny and Sue Emmons. Some people will know that name. He's a graduate of, he's a Big Red. And then we went to MSU, but he came back and he was a band director, both, I believe, at Muskegon, and also I think most of his career was at North Muskegon, band director. Phenomenal musicians, both of them, and lifelong people in this area. That's who started it. And then in 1985, they were going to disband. They started in 79. Okay, so in 85, they were just kind of tired of doing it. They thought, okay, well, we'll just disband it. But there were a couple people in the band that decided no, they didn't want that to happen. And someone else came in to the area, moved into the area, and they were able to get him to be their conductor for a while. And so when I moved over here in 1985, I was looking for a band to play, and I'm a trombone player. And I got into this band. And because of my background as a band director, I just volunteered to do many, many things. In fact, there's nothing in my band of the job that I haven't already done many, many, many times. So then that gentleman passed away, and I put my hat in the ring. And I just said, I'm interested in doing this. I was teaching beginning band at the Reese Puffer School District. That's what I was hired to do. But when you're trained as a band director, you can teach at any level. It's just a matter of where you get into and what your years of experience are. So I put my hat in the ring in 1996, and they hired me. And so in 1996, I became the conductor, and I'm going into my 30th season with this ensemble. And so putting that carrot out all the time for this group, I mean, we've done all kinds of amazing things because of the wonderful musicians I have. In fact, some of the people that I started with when I was playing are still in the ensemble. So consequently, that's the best part about a community ensemble is because those people, they live in the town. They're going to stay in the group. University people, their kids come and go maybe 4 years, 6 years. High schools, they have them for maybe whatever, middle school, high school. But I've had many of my people for 30 years. And so it's a very important part of our community. It's hard to advertise it and get people to understand it. But once they get there to a concert, they're like, wow, why didn't I know about this? So that's a big part of it. But with that, it allows me to also be really involved with musicians in the community. And we are not the West Michigan Symphony. That's a group that has strings in it. There are people who play in my band in the wind section that have played in the orchestra. I played in that orchestra, actually. So the music world is a very small world, and especially as you narrow down the arts into categories such as band or orchestra or choir or whatever, it even gets smaller. They say, what is it, 1 to 3 people? You meet people, you know someone. In our world, I think it's like 1 to 1.5. I mean, we really know each other well, and so we all are on our path. And my path has become community music, and I'm very involved in many ways, worldwide community music. So
that's amazing. Well, as a trombone player, that now I know why you know Dr. Dale Nesberry.
Exactly. Yes, love Dale.
My high school band instructor will be mad if I don't say there's 7
positions
on a trombone.
Infinite number, we say. Who was your high school band director?
Mr. Weyersberg from Oval.
Oh, my gosh,
so
Roger.
You know Roger?
Santa Claus?
Oh, my goodness.
Of course I know Roger. Everybody knows Roger.
I love Roger and Nadine, the most wonderful people.
Wonderful band director. Yeah. Wonderful musician.
The best thing about Roger is going to see him when he's playing Santa Claus.
Yes.
When your kids are little and he gets up and gives me a monster hug.
Santa.
The kids go, oh, my goodness, Dad does know Santa.
That's the best. That's the best. Yeah.
So getting involved with this, and so the Muskegon Lumber Queen, what drew you to that story, and then how do you go about selecting musicians for that?
That's a really good question. Well, what drew me to it was I know myself well enough, and it's like as much as I knew I didn't have time to do it, busy people are the ones to ask because they'll figure out a way to do it. So talking to him, I believe in our community. I grew up in the Petoskey area, and so Michigan's important to me, and lumbering is all around the Great Lakes, not just here. But it's very important to Muskegon, obviously. There's a lot of other things within that story I can talk about with Hackley and some of the music that I've found and that we've done because of the Hackley background. So I guess I felt compelled to say, I think if anybody could do this, I could do this in the amount of time that I knew I had, in the amount of time that I knew they needed it to be done. I didn't think there was really anyone else in the area that could pull it off the way I thought I could do it, because I figured with the orchestra, and I know a lot of retired musicians, that I could do it during the day, and that still wouldn't pull them away from their other organizations or anything like that. And so as I started to think about it after I hung up that day, I thought, I could get so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so. We could do it one on a part. We could make it happen. And so that's how it kind of, I guess, started to snowball, But I'll tell you, from Thanksgiving on, I didn't really hear from him until, I don't know, maybe February or so. And I'd almost forgotten about it, thinking, well, maybe it's not going to happen. But the storyline, and part of it, and I'll just be honest, this is my 50th year of my high school reunion. To find out that this is a 50th, to me, that meant something that was a little special, too. I don't know. Because the kids that played in that musical would have been me. I would have been 50 years ago, and that would have been my friends in high school. So I thought, this could be interesting. But I didn't know what I was getting myself into, let me tell you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Live music is so powerful. It really, music overall is, but live music really touches people. How do you go about building the music for this production? Well,
I had coffee with Mike, and they said that there were some music folders. I said, well, where is the music? Do I have a score? Anything like this? And they said, well, here's these folders. And they truly were the old folders from 50 years ago, and with all the old music in it. So what I was given, there was no score, no music score. There was a couple piano parts that had been designed. And the people who were on staff at Muskegon High School when this was done put it together as kind of a, just a hometown kind of thing. I think it was just out of the fun of trying to do it, So they pulled music from the Muskegon Heights Orchestra program back in those days. They pulled from Muskegon. So what we were given were the folders, and the music in the folders made sense if you had been at the musical. But I'm looking at all this music. I didn't even know what the songs were. I mean, kind of knew the storyline, but I didn't even know that, And so I just trusted Mike when he gave those to me. I just took them and I tried to put them all back in order. And then I met here with Regina Schloff is going to do the actors and the singing and all of that. And so we met, the three of us met here with the idea of hearing it. Luckily, somebody had recorded this 50 years ago. So that allowed for Mike to share that with us, and everything started to make sense. And it was a really fine production. The people that did it 50 years ago were outstanding singers. The Muskegon area, actually the whole West Michigan area, the band and the choral music, and I think the fine arts too, like your art and things like that, this is a gem. I mean, you look at it today where you've got this beautiful art museum, and we've got great bands and all of that. That was because of what went on maybe now 75 years ago up to the 50 and then on. And it's the people of the area that really continue to make sure their kids are involved in the arts. I give a lot of credit. You know, we don't want to tell everybody about it because we like having it for ourselves, you know, but we also for a community of this size and a community that was, I want to say, you know, a working community with, you know, we had industry, we had the lumbering. You don't always see the level and the quality of the arts that we have here and have always had here as long as I've lived here. So with all of that in mind, I took this music, and I have lived my whole life just trusting people and believing it will happen. I think, you know, it's that old adage of if you build it, they will come. And that is really how this has come to life in so many ways, I think, at least the part I've dealt with. So I took all the music. There were parts that were kind of missing, and we figured it out. I listened, so that's how that happened. Then I started calling people and just putting out this possibility. Now, my wind players that are in my ensemble, who I've known a long time, I know who the retired ones are and who the really, you know, talented ones are that could do something this challenging. And not one of them said no. Of my wind players, because I know them really well. And they're like, yeah, bring it on. And I said, we'll do 3 rehearsals and a performance, and you'll get paid this amount for each one of those. So it was a nice amount for gas money and things like that. And every one of them did. The strings were a little different, only in that I just didn't know them as well. So I got a hold of the conductor of the Shoreline Community Orchestra, Nick Mosley, and I said, Nick, I need you to give me some names of people who are retired that can work in the daytime for this. And he did. The first few you gave me just couldn't do it. So I just went over to their rehearsal and just started talking to people. Yeah. And that worked out. And I also started thinking about, okay, who do I know that plays cello? Who do I know? And again, living in the right place at the right time, I got boom, 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 the right people locked in. And so I had figured it out. I had everybody that I needed. And it was a little group. You know, we just had one on a part. We had a violin, one, a violin two, a viola, a cellist. I did have an electric bass because I couldn't get a string bass player, but a fine one. And then we had the woodwinds. You know, we had a flute. We had a pianist who was a student. I started at Reese Puffer, who's now this wonderful pianist, and she was great about it. Then I had a flute, an oboe, a clarinet, a bassoon, a trumpet, trombone, and a percussionist. And so we just put it together, and it just... You know, and they were all about community too. That's the other thing. Majority of them have lived there most of their lives. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So you're really known for mentoring musicians, building really collaborative ensembles, as you said. What makes this group really unique to you based on everything that you've done in the past?
That's a really nice question. I would say unique in that the love of the community. They, you know, I sent out an email and I kind of did a little brief, this is what this story is about. We all know that lumbering is what really made this little town. We could just be another little blip because when lumbering went out, we could have just dissolved, you know, but we didn't. And those people have roots here. Not all of them were from here, but many were. My viola player, she is the granddaughter of Fritz and Gretchen Stansel, who owned Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp. I mean, you got that kind of roots, those deep roots. You know, we have roots here. We have people who worked, they're retired, so they all worked their whole lives in the West Michigan area, most of them. Or just the other side of that is how much the passion of music is in them. And most of them have raised children. They understand why history is important. And so then they trusted me. That's part of it too. They just trusted that I wasn't going to do something that would be foolish or put them in any jeopardy of any sort or waste their time. So I'm pretty efficient that way. So, I think that's where a lot of this came from was, hey, this sounds like it's kind of a fun thing. And it was only maybe 2.5 weeks long. And bam, 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 we got it done. They got paid. We had fun. We got to record it, so that was really fun too. So it was a good time.
That's amazing. And just in a couple weeks, you wrapped up that project, your portion of it.
We did, because I don't have any more time. I've got so much else going on between now and the end of the summer. So that's
well, you said busy people get things done. So you get it done and it's off your chart to go get something else done.
Exactly. And so it was like, check that one, But the nice thing is this is coming back and I'm getting to be part of it. I feel that's important too. I don't necessarily want any more responsibility of it, but I enjoy the fact that I was able to give what I love to do to the community with this beautiful project. Mm-hmm.
So how does a project like the Muskegon Lumber Queen really help the broader community understand the cultural importance of music and telling our stories?
It's lovely. It is exactly that. The arts, we know from millennia, is what makes people happy. You don't know too many people who are either listening to something or involved with something, whatever it be, whether it's music or art or photography or whatever it is. Every human needs some kind of outlet of art. And that is what this is all about. When I would have students say, I'm going to not be in band anymore because I was band director. At first, it would be a personal thing, but then I thought, it's okay if you don't want to do what the particular one I'm doing, but make sure you have something in your life, whatever it is. If it's even just sitting and reading, you've got to have a time when your brain's doing it in a different way. And I think that has a lot to do with why our communities need the arts. And the forefathers, the people who did what they did, like a Hackley or a Hume, they knew that. They knew that. Whether they were copycatting the big guys from the big, New York or Europe, perhaps, but they were doing it because it was a model that seemed to work really well for humanity. And I think that's a big, broader prospect of what this is. But for this one, I think it's fun to go back and kind of relive what we see. We see these beautiful old Victorian homes. Isn't it fun to go back and relive that? A really quick story. With my band, our music is all housed at Muskegon Community College in their music library. We own a great deal of the 1,200 pieces in there, the Winds do. The college was really great at that, having music. But we said, if you will let us be part of this, we have a nice marriage with MCC, then we will buy our own music if we can house it here. And so we were looking through some music, and this was before I was conductor. And they were celebrating something for Hackley Hume. And they asked us to be a little like a turn-of-the-century band of that time. So we even had the coats like a Sousa jacket, and I had a smaller ensemble. And we found a piece of music up at MCC in a file, and it was called the Hackley March. And so we opened it up, and I don't know if you know this or not, but during that time, there were, I think, 5 opera houses when Hackley lived. There were like 5 opera houses. Well, opera was like rock and roll or whatever you want to call it today. It was the thing that everybody went and did. Well, apparently when Hackley donated all the money for the library, our beautiful Hackley Library, when it was opened in 1896 or something like that, might have been before 86 perhaps, he donated all the money to have this be an important part of the community. This gentleman, who was the conductor of this opera house, and his name's on there, I can't tell you off the top of my head, it was a German name, he wrote a little march for the dedication of this library. And this little opera orchestra played it. And it's called the Hackley March. And in the trio of it, of the march, is For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. So there's this beautiful little introduction. It's like a Sousa march. And then there's the For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. And then it finishes up, and it's darling. Well, it was just random parts. Like there was a viola, and there was maybe a cellist, and there was a trumpet, and there was a violin or whatever. It was just a little piece of something. So we took it and had it turned into or arranged into a real band march. And I take it all over the world with me when I go and guest conduct because it's about Muskegon and it is also about Hackley. It's about celebrating people. And so, there's all that history there. The one thing is that Muskegon continues to celebrate their history. And I think even back to some of the Native American things. So I think it's kind of built into us to want to have the history of our town, of our lives, who we are. And I think that's why it's important to see this happening in our community. And I see the right people trying to fund it. I see the right people trying to be involved with it. Mike's done a really great job, or the team that he has created, to find the right people who have lived here almost all our lives to bring this into perspective. I think it's bigger than itself. The 50 years, okay, I sang in it, whoever sang in it, but this is bigger than just that musical. It's going to celebrate something much, much bigger.
Yeah, it transcends time.
Yes.
It really does.
It does, yes.
So you spoke quite a bit about the investment in the past in the arts community in Muskegon. It is so vibrant. It is, and there's so many different, unique opportunities. How do you think the West Michigan Concert Winds plays into that? And where do you fill that gap?
Oh, yeah, for sure. My board, I have a wonderful board of directors. They want so badly to make sure that everybody knows who we are and what we are. And there's probably people in our community that really don't even know that there's a wonderful symphony here, too, even though it just depends on where their life is, As far as my organization, we fit in. We do a lot of outreach, community outreach. It's an opportunity that if you played in band, and I have people who haven't played for 50 years. They played in high school. They stopped. They went to college. They got married, had children, and then now they're retired. What am I going to do? Oh, I really liked playing my clarinet. I think I want to get that back out. It's a place for that. We're an organization that has high standards. So and people have to audition, but it's more of a get to meet me audition. But the one thing that I think of all the people I've auditioned, I've only had one that I've said, there's another group over here that might be better for you right now because it's a little bit easier and you're just not ready for us yet, But we are definitely a big community. I mean, I have 100 on my roster, and most of my concerts I have 85 to 90 people in the band. What does that say? I mean, those people are from all over West Michigan. And yes, you have to have somebody that's doing what I'm doing, but it also shows that population is out there, that kind of a thing. So the kind of things that we do for the community are things like we're doing now. We do all kinds of things like that. We do children's concerts. We do summer concerts. We have a summer series that we do down at Heritage Landing, and it's in July. It's on a Wednesday. You come, bring your chair. We've got food trucks, But it's it's free. It's that hometown kind of thing. That whereas it's not, we do play in the Frauenthal and we do play big season as well. But we just try to do things that will make people happy to come in and tap your toe and have a good time in a very fine way. The music we strive really hard to have a fine literature and things that's going to help educate people. I think my background as an educator helps because I do want to help everybody from every age. I hope we make everybody happy at least with one of our pieces, So that's where we fit. We're part of the community college. We rehearse up at the community college. We've been there for since 1986. In fact, I've been there that long. I wasn't the conductor, but I was like the assistant, and so I have been there a very, very, very long time, and I have seen things really grow in that vein for the community. I mean, their middle name is Community College, so they're very good at engaging community. So it's very healthy here. I think the arts are very healthy in Muskegon.
I would agree, and I love that all of your musicians are West Michigan local.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean the standard is lowered, right? The expectation and the quality of music is still here.
Oh, absolutely.
And we just have great musicians.
Well, and you need to know, I mean, this group, we've played in Carnegie Hall. We've played in Symphony Hall in Chicago. Carnegie Hall's in New York. I know you know that. We have played, I think we've done 6 or 7 tours abroad. And we just came back from Scotland and Ireland last year that we did a tour over there. Oh my gosh, played in a cathedral with, a 20-piece bagpipe group that is a pro group over there. I mean, we've had some amazing opportunities. And here's the thing that always makes my heart happy is that I help provide opportunity for people in my community to do something that is fun, that also allows other people who can't do this to come and enjoy it. But it's very community based. I mean, my group, they pay a little bit to play, but who doesn't pay to go bowling? I mean, it's the same kind of thing. It's something that they love to do. But it's a very fine ensemble. I will tell you that right now. Yeah.
So there's potentially a young artist, a young musician out there, and I've kind of been playing this through my mind. How does one become a conductor? And how would a young musician take a path to do to become a conductor and be like you?
Absolutely. Well, I will tell you a very, very quick story, and then I'll add to what you just asked me. Number one, I decided when I was in 8th grade that I was going to be a band director. And it was because I wanted to quit band because I didn't like the way the band director was doing something. And my dad, such a wise man, he sat me down and he said, well, could you do it better? And he said, let's think about that. He said, what would you do to make it better? And I said, well, I would do that or this or that or that. And he goes, well, then do that. And I thought, that's what I will. I can. I know I can. Again, it's that whole intervention kind of thing that I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I did. I decided, I was in 8th grade, and I decided to become a band director. Well, the funny thing is the band director that I had is the one who's always in the back of my head now, and that time that I didn't think that it was like a parent, and I find myself going, oh, I've taught that, and that was the one I didn't think was the smart thing that he was doing. I've now taught that a million years, So I say that because you never know who this student is or this child is that wants to do it, or a young person. I've had many students go on. It's not easy. It's a calling. It's kind of like being a pastor in some ways, or a teacher is a calling. And most kids think they want to go into music because they like playing their instrument, and they've come from a really great band program or orchestra program or choir program. But when you get down to it, it's a lot of work. It is, and not very much money that you get, and also not very much money supporting the arts. The arts that's why they survive, because they don't have a ton of money. But they want it so badly because it's naturally built into us. So that's why there's always the arts, As far as a student, I would encourage them to shadow someone that does what they think they might want to do, and shadow them for a while and talk to them and interview them. Don't be afraid to. We love to talk about what we love to do, And then if you really think that's it, then get a college degree. Find a university that you're comfortable with, either financially or with the person that's teaching that you just think is really great. Talk to people, and then get that degree, and then get out there and teach. Just to be a conductor and not be a teacher, I don't know that that even should line up, because I find when I was teaching all the time, I would leave my job on a Thursday after teaching all day long, beginning band kids mostly, and then I would go into my rehearsals at night with my adults, and many things were crossing over. Same kind of things that I taught, just in a different speech pattern, of course, but the same kind of thing. So it's just humans, that want to learn and want to do well. And the arts, the thing I love about the arts is most people they're the kind of people that achieve success. They really want to they want you to say, oh, you want to do this? This is what it's going to take to get there. So the really great successful ones, and they're usually real people. They are not uncomfortable talking to people and being involved in that kind of thing. But getting a degree will take you. You can't. I don't think you could do it if you didn't. Really, of some sort. So that's the way I would encourage a student to do it. I always tell kids, get a network and start talking to people, and don't think you can do it all, because you can't. You got to do it with others. That's part of it too. That's why it's called a band. We're a band together.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
When the Muskegon Lumber Queen goes live, how do you hope people will feel during the performance?
I think they're going to just find, first of all, it's a melodrama. So they're either going to attach on to the bad guy or to the good guy, or the maiden or whatever, the characters. And that will be determined, of course, how those people are. But I can't imagine that, knowing the people who are doing it, they're going to have really great people. I think there should be a big sense of pride that they live in a community that cares so much to go that far back into history and continue to embrace that history, rather than, well, that's, was 100, 200 years ago. Who cares? That's not the way they are. There's so much pride in this community, because they're hardworking individuals who've made it. Yeah. So I think they're going to find it's fun. The music is delightful. Even the bad guy music is really fun. And the other part of all the music, there's the little love song that's so precious and so pretty. And it's not such a long piece that you're going to, I think you could bring children as long as you prep them with what the story's about and to be looking for certain things within the story, like anything else. But I think there's going to be joy and pride, and they're going to go away being very glad they went. Yeah.
Awesome.
Supportive. Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Gail, thank you for coming on today.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything we haven't covered that you think our listeners need to know about?
I think that if you love Muskegon and you are seeing the beautiful growth that Muskegon has come through again, I had a dear friend that she's no longer with us anymore, but she said every time we have a new birth coming out of the Native Americans, what they went through, came into the lumbering, what they went through. We came through the industry time during the wars and all the things that happened with that, There's a lot of pride with that, community pride with that, of course. And then now into what would be, Brunswick was another big new thing that we went through. And then also now coming into this virtual world of computers and all of the electronics and things. This community, I remember seeing tumbleweeds going down Western Avenue 25 years ago, and now I love going downtown Muskegon. It's just kudos to the young people who are seeing how important it is to keep these communities alive. So I guess go to the show, enjoy it, find out your history. Go to the Natural Art or the History Museum, Muskegon History Museum. They're the ones who are going to get this. They're going to be the keepers of this beautiful little piece. And I encourage you to if you're an educator in any way, I told Mike, I said, I would like to see this perhaps be something that goes into our ISD program level somehow so that the communities, and market it somehow into our other communities in Michigan that had lumbering. Because if I was I was a music educator, if I knew that little program was there that I could bring in and either show it or use it as a gift with like the middle school students or high school students, it's a nice little melodrama you could do. And now, because of the orchestra that I did, you don't have to get a pit orchestra. It's all recorded. We recorded it all. So it's going to be a nice package deal to do that. I hope it gets marketed. That's my biggest push that I would be involved with if I could, is to get it into the education realm so that it's in the hands of the state of Michigan somehow. In fact, I think it should go eventually to the History Museum in Lansing because I think it has that kind of worth. It's good. It depending on how well it goes, and the fact that it was done 50 years ago and it's going to be done again. They could even look at before and after. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. Theater people could use it. There's an infinite amount of possibilities as an educator to use this, as long as they know it's there. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for keeping the arts vibrant in our community.
Thank you. I love it.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Muskegon Rising. For more information on the West Michigan Concert Winds, please visit their website. Also, for more information on the Muskegon Lumber Queen, please visit their Facebook page. If you think someone is doing something amazing in our community, please email us at muskegonrising@muskegonrotary.org.